back to my YouTube channel. I decided to do a book haul of all the books that I bought or received in July. I've put myself on a slight book buying ban where I'm only allowed to buy one book a month, unless it's an author that is my favorite author, like Stephen King's Never Flinch came out, so I was able to buy that and another book. And I introduced 6 new books to the family. 3 of these were bought, 3 of these were gifted. My mom found them in a little free library that I later went and fleshed out a little bit better because it was mainly John Grisham, which is fine. I've personally never read John Grisham. If I should, let me know. But I thought maybe it needed fleshed out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So first on the list is a fantasy that I picked up when my fiance and I went back to his hometown to do some wedding prep during a break from his job and a weekend. I don't work weekends, so I was already on a break. We went to this mall and there was a cute little bookstore in the mall, and I, of course, had to stop in. I cannot pass up a bookstore. It doesn't matter how busy I am. It doesn't matter what kind of book buying ban I'm on. I cannot pass up a bookstore. And I was very happy to be able to find The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. This is stunning. If you don't know anything about me, I love anything Alice in Wonderland, but this looked too good to pass up. And the synopsis really gave me the vibes of The Hunger Games meets Alice in Wonderland. And if you know anything about me, you know I love The Hunger Games. I just concluded my reread this year, so this looked really good. And the synopsis says, all Alice wants is to escape her normal life in Oxford and find the parents who abandoned her 10 years ago. But she gets more than she bargained for when her older sister Charlotte is arrested for having the infamous Wonder Gene, the key to unlocking the curious Wonderland reality. Soon, Alice receives a rather cryptic invitation to play for Team Heart in this year's annual and often deadly Wonderland Trials. Now she has less than 24 hours to find her way into Wonderland, where nothing is impossible or what it seems. The stakes are raised when she discovers players go missing during the trials each year. Will she and her team solve the clues and find the missing players? Or will betrayal and distrust win, leaving Alice alone in a world of her own? Follow the White Rabbit into this topsy-turvy fantasy where players become prey, a sip of the wrong tea might as well be poison, and a queen's ways do not always lead one where they ought to go. This looks so stunning. It sounds really, really fun to me. It gives me, like I said, really big Hunger Games vibes, but maybe not to the death that the Hunger Games are. The cover is really pretty. I love the cover. This is the back, and then this is a hardback book. And a surefire way for me to buy a hardback book is to have the hardback book itself have some sort of design on it. And this one actually does. But I love the spiral design of it, and the spine is gold. And I found out this is the Curious Realities Book 1. So if this is something that I really like, which I hope it is, I will definitely be continuing. Next on the list is a horror book that has been on my TBR, not physical TBR, but mental TBR, for the longest time, and that is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. I saw this at Books A Million, and I wanted to treat myself a little bit. The lives of the Barretts, a normal suburban New England family, are torn apart when 14-year-old Marjorie begins to display signs of acute schizophrenia. To her parents' despair, the doctors are unable to stop Marjorie's bizarre outburst and subsequent descent into madness. As their home develops into a house of horrors, they reluctantly turn to a local Catholic priest for help. Father Wanderley suggests an exorcism. He believes the vulnerable teenager is the victim of demonic possession. He also contacts a production company that is eager to document the Barretts' plight for a reality television show. With John, Marjorie's father, out of work for more than a year and medical bills looming, the family reluctantly agrees to be filmed, never imagining that the possession would become an instant hit. When events in the Barrett household explode in tragedy, the show and the incidents it captures become the stuff of urban legend. 15 years later, a best-selling writer interviews Marjorie's younger sister, Mary, as she recalls those long-ago events from her childhood. She was just 8 years old. Painful memories and long-buried secrets that clash with the television broadcast and the internet blogs begin to resurface. This sounds so good to me. I love my horror with a side of religious horror. There's just something about religious horror that really gets. I'm really excited to read this. I think I'm going to save it for my Halloween. Now, these next three are ones that my mother found in a little free library that I mentioned earlier. And at first I was going to decline them, but they have been on my TBR and I just never bought them or picked them up. I'm not a big fiction reader, and I believe two of these are fiction, or at least mystery thriller slash general fiction. I know the one of them is. And I didn't really want to spend the money for them, so I'm happy that somebody did put them in a little free library so I could give them a second home and maybe they'll become some of my favorite reads. But starting with the first one, it is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This is a mystery thriller, I believe, and I have seen this everywhere. This is a book that I really, really have been wanting to read. I just have never picked it up. I haven't looked for it at Libby, which is where I get my audiobooks and ebooks from. And I never even looked for it at the library. I knew I wanted to read it at some point, but I never picked it up. Before Owen Michaels disappears, he smuggles a note to his beloved wife of 1 year. Protect her. Despite her confusion and fear, Hannah Hall knows exactly to whom the note refers. Owen's 16-year-old daughter, Bailey. Bailey, who lost her mother tragically as a child. Bailey, who wants absolutely nothing to do with her new stepmother. As Hannah's increasingly desperate calls to Owen go unanswered, as the FBI arrests Owen's boss, as a U.S. Marshal and federal agents arrive at her Sausalito home unannounced, Hannah quickly realizes her husband isn't who he said he was, and that Bailey just may hold the key to figuring out Owen's true identity and why he really disappeared. Hannah and Bailey set out to discover the truth, but as they start putting together the pieces of Owen's past, they soon realize they're also building a new future, one neither of them could have anticipated. With its breakneck pacing, dizzying plot twists, and evocative family drama, The Last Thing He Told Me is a riveting mystery certain to shock you with its final, heartbreaking turn. I love a good heartbreaking mystery thriller. I love a good mystery thriller. If you can keep me captivated from the very first chapter, that's great. I usually give books 5 chapters or the first 100 pages before I. So if a mystery thriller is a candidate right off the bat, you know I'm not going to enjoy my time. But this sounds so good to me. I like my mystery thrillers a bit dark, a bit twisty, a bit graphic, but a good mystery thriller that is more so mystery and suspense, count me all the way in. I'm very excited to read this one. I might pick it up sooner than I thought. This next one is also a mystery thriller with a discussion on the difference of race and ethnicity in culture and in well-to-do communities versus impoverished communities, and that is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. Alex Chamberlain is a woman who gets what she wants and has made a living showing other women how to do the same. So she is shocked when her babysitter, Emma Tucker, is confronted while watching the Chamberlains' toddler one night in the aisles of their high-end supermarket. The store's security guard, seeing a young black woman out late with a white child, accuses Emma of kidnapping. A small crowd gathers, a bystander films everything, and Emma is furious and humiliated. Alex resolves to make things right. But Emma herself is aimless, broke, and wary of Alex's desire to help. At 25, she is about to lose her health insurance and has no idea what to do with her life. When the video of Emma someone from Alex's past, both women find themselves on a crash course that will upend everything they think they know about themselves and each other. This sounds so good to me. I am really intrigued by the premise of it. I remember hearing a little bit about it when it first came out, and also since it's come out, I remember seeing it on Goodreads a little bit, and I remember seeing it in Barnes & Noble when I worked there, and quite a bit of people picked it up. So I'm really happy to finally get into this, and I cannot wait to read it. Next up on the list is a fiction book, but it also has a little bit of mystery thriller to it. And this has been on my TBR for a long, long, long time, along with this author's other book, which is very popular. And that is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste. This really caught my eye when I would shelves at Barnes& Noble trying to find what books I wanted to buy with my paycheck. Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. So begins this exquisite novel about a Chinese-American family living in 1970s small-town Ohio. Lydia is the favorite child of Marilyn and James Lee, and her parents are determined that she will fulfill the dreams they were unable to pursue. But when Lydia's body is found in the local lake, the delicate balancing act that has been keeping the Lee family together is destroyed, tumbling them into chaos. A profoundly moving story of family, secrets, and longing. Everything I Never Told You is both a gripping page-turner and a sensitive family portrait, uncovering the ways in which mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, and husbands and wives struggle all their lives to understand one another. That just sounds so good to me. I don't know what it is about it that captivates me so much, but I really love commentary books and fiction books on family dynamics and trying to just find that other person in the world that understands you and sees you for you and is able to love you despite your flaws and not try to fix you all the time. And just finding that one other person or two or three other people that you truly connect with is such a good plot to me. I'm really excited to get into this, and again, probably going to read it sooner than we all think. And then finally, we have the last book that I have bought this month, which I just bought it a few days ago. And this is a book that I did not know was mystery thriller. I thought it was a fiction story, and what I'd heard about it, not even just the synopsis, but what I'd heard from other reviews, was that maybe it wasn't something that was right up my alley and wasn't something I would enjoy. And then I saw it recommended from a booktuber. I forget who it is, and I'm so sorry that I forget who it is, but I know I greatly enjoyed their video, and they said it was one of the best mystery thrillers they had ever read and that everybody should read it. And that is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I did not know this was mystery thriller, and I know S.A. Cosby's new book just came out. I forget the title of it, but I'll put it in here if I remember. The synopsis grasped me, and I was going to read it on my Kindle. And so I immediately checked Libby, and Libby didn't have it. I have 2 library cards with Libby, and it was like an 8-week wait or something. I immediately jumped to my mom's Kindle Unlimited and downloaded it. And then she ended up getting rid of Kindle Unlimited, and she told me how long I had to read it, and it's my own fault that I didn't read it in that time frame. And then I thought I was going to treat myself, and because I sold some books on Pango, so I went ahead and treated myself with Razorblade Tears in the paperback format. Ike Randolph has been out of jail for 15 years, with not so much as a speeding ticket in all that time. But a black man with cops at the door knows to be afraid. The last thing he expects to hear is that his son, Isaiah, has been murdered, along with Isaiah's white husband, Derek. Ike had never fully accepted Isaiah, but is devastated by his loss. Derek's father, Buddy Lee, had a similar relationship with his son, but he can't rest until he knows who killed them. Ike and Buddy Lee, 2 ex-cons with little in common other than a criminal past and a love for their dead sons, band together in their desperate desire for revenge. In their quest to do better for their sons in death than they did in life, these hardened men will confront their own prejudices about their sons and each other as they rain down vengeance upon those who hurt their boys. Doesn't that sound so good? This sounds like it's going to take me on a journey of all the emotions you could possibly think of. I really want to read this. I might have started this by the time this video is published. This has been on my TV for the longest time as of 3 months ago. Like, it has been up on the highest mark on my TV. I read a small snippet, a small excerpt of this, and his writing style seems right up my alley when it comes to the writing style that I like. And I'm not all that picky when it comes to writing styles, but Cosby's writing style definitely seems like something that I'm going to gravitate towards. And there you have it. There are 6 new books that I've added to my physical TBR, which I count as every single book I own that I have not read yet. That is my physical TBR. And yes, once a month I add to that physical TBR. But these are books that I'm super excited about reading. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them. I love knowing why books didn't appeal to somebody, so definitely let me know if any of these books are something that didn't appeal to you. If there's any books that I should add to my TBR immediately, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you would like to see from me. If you want more from me, then YouTube videos such as book reviews and fun book reels and fun read-alongs, you can find those on my Bookstagram, which will be linked in the description below, as well as my Goodreads and my Pango books if you want to add any new babies to your physical TBR. Until next time, keep reading, my friends.